Have you ever felt that whisper in your soul calling you to something more, but all the things spinning around in your mind have kept you stuck? Well, what if I told you that choosing excellence could be both easier and more adventurous than you could ever imagine? I am Chelsea DeBruin-Colbert, your host of All Things Excellence. I'm a soul catalyst for excellence who leapt off that corporate cliff and left small-town Iowa farm life in my 20s to follow my calling, helping women come home to themselves by anchoring into who they're designed to be. I create sacred containers where women rediscover their truth, design their dream life, and transform those whispers into action. Now you can find me running my business from the soccer sidelines as a coach's wife, hiking my favorite Arizona mountain, or back in Iowa with my family, or on an adventure chasing my next sunrise, hot cup of coffee and journal in hand. Through intimate conversations about the stories, the traumas, and the transformations behind choosing excellence, we're creating a collective healing journey together. I believe in diving deep into personality designs, experimenting boldly, and learning life's greatest lessons through our beautiful chaos. Every week, my guests and I are going to rip down the curtains so you can see behind the scenes of real transformation as we explore what excellence actually looks like. Not just the highlight reel, but that messy middle where the magic happens. Whether you're seeking inspiration to take that leap or already on your journey and craving connection, this is your invitation to join us. So grab your coffee, settle in, and get ready to discover just how close you are to the life your soul is calling you to create. This is All Things Excellence. Hey, All Things Excellence fam. Today we get to bring back my ride or die friend, Brittney.
Hello.
And she
And of course, Belle.
and her dog. Yes, wait, what's her name? Say her name again.
Belle.
Belle. Oh yes, okay, did knows. Belle, not Bella. Our other friends had a dog, Bella. Okay, so Brittney and Belle are back with us today. But today we are not, I mean, who knows? We might talk about health things. You never know. It'll probably come up. But especially because we are talking about how she is an Enneagram 6.
Yes, am through and through.
Yes, you and my baby brother Adam are the examples I always give of what sixes are and why we all need sixes in our life. My executive assistant, Caroline, is also a six. So she is eagerly awaiting this episode. She loved you on
Yeah.
your last episode that you were on talking about all things health. And so she's very excited to hear from you today. So no pressure. But okay, so for sure, your husband, Brian, is a 9, right? But he's
Yes,
a
he
9 wing
absolutely.
8.
Yeah.
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 Kobe's a 9 wing 1.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
9 wing 8.
Yeah. 9 wing 8.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Brian will state his opinion way more than Kobe will.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't shy away from stating it. It just takes a minute to get him to stating it.
Yeah. But I feel like where he and Kobe share their 9ness is their little funny humor.
Oh, yes.
You know, my mom's favorite thing is that when I post something on Facebook, she waits to see what Brian will comment on it.
And then the banter
Yeah.
that ensues. Yeah.
Between Kobe
Brian
and
always
Brian.
has something. Yeah. Uh-huh. No, but Brian will always have something to say about it. That's for sure. Yeah.
So we met in Dallas over 12 years ago now, 12, 13 years ago, whatever. And our husbands, my husband and her husband, the three of you worked together at a clinic. They're both chiropractors. And I, have always worked for myself. So I would randomly show up all the time. And that is where our friendship began. Okay, so sixes are known as the loyalists, also known as the skeptics. Not you at all. You are the most loyal skeptic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say I'm really loyal. I mean,
Yeah.
I have confidence in saying that. I am very, very loyal.
Yeah.
I would say the skeptic wise, I am a skeptic of things, but I think also my sickness comes into that because I am a skeptic until I can prove it, right? Like
Yeah.
I need the evidence behind it. I need those facts. And honestly, that's kind of what got me into my career in general. I had so many why questions and I was just so skeptical of so many things in that health world. And chiropractic was ultimately the thing that gave me the most answers. And it gave me the most sense of security, of trust of the body in and of itself and like what we were designed to do. And so that's really what kind of, again, got me into my career because I did have so many questions that I wanted answers and chiropractic could give me those answers.
Yeah. I love that. Do you feel like your primary wing, do you feel like you feel your wing five, which is the professor, the researcher, the need to know, more than you feel your wing seven, which is the like have fun, laissez-faire, jump off the cliff?
Man, I feel like my wing seven almost keeps me, as weird as it sounds, because it is like off the wall.
Hmm.
I feel like it almost keeps me a little more grounded because I can
Yeah.
get real deep into that like research professory, like nerding out. And so I feel like that seven
Mm-hmm.
almost balances me to,
Hmm.
okay, like
Hmm.
we don't need to be so like dead set on this path either. We need to have fun while we're doing this. And I think that it helps me out so much in my career right now too, because I feel like it's a good balance of, hey, like you
Hmm.
can have that knowledge, you can learn all those things, but let's also give people a little grace and like, let's make this fun, let's make this enjoyable. And also like, let's try it,
Yeah.
right? Because that five can, again, straight and narrow, like don't want to waver because
Hmm.
everything has to be those facts. And I want those facts, but sometimes it's like, let's try it. Why not?
Yeah.
You know?
I also see, okay, so sixes are committed, responsible, faithful, can be suspicious, can be anxious, can fixate on
Oh, yeah.
things. Their
Oh,
core fear is fear itself, danger, uncertainty, chaos, not having support. They need security, they need
yeah.
guidance. They fear being blamed, getting in trouble alone. They fear being physically abandoned. They desire to have security, support, guidance. Can tend to walk around in a constant state of apprehension, worrying about possible future events. Their core longing is you are safe. Now, where I see your wing seven come is your wing seven. I mean, I love all parts of you actually, but I love your wing seven because my eight, who lives to do everything so excellent and the best way that I possibly can, your wing seven will come to my eight and be like, girl, you're doing your best. Like, you know what?
Grace.
Ate the in and out.
Grace. Right. Right.
And gosh dang it, have nachos at the baseball game.
Yeah.
And you don't,
Well, and again,
yeah.
like that's where I feel like it is. I feel like giving people grace, I feel like is where
Hmm.
my wing seven is because I can get
Hmm.
very, again, I'm very hard on myself. I'm very
Hmm.
dead set in things that I want for like my family.
Yeah.
But I try my best to give grace to others for
Hmm.
people who don't know or just don't even, not even don't know because I don't know their life, right?
Yeah.
Like my choice doesn't have to be their choice.
Mm.
And that seven allows me to give, again, not just patience, grace, but people around me, right? Like
Yeah.
the decisions that I make for my family, I am solid and true in and confident in because I have done so much research and I am confident in whatever I
Mm.
choose. But being like, you know what? Like, I don't live their life. So
Yeah.
let them do them,
Yeah.
you know?
That's my favorite thing about you as you know, I don't know, what do you call, I think it's so weird to be like my best friend that lives across the country, that I never get to see. My
It's
like
true.
my person who lives across the country that I never get to see, because we just don't even live now. We don't even live anywhere that the either two of us go. Like we have to
Yeah,
really consciously go. Like we are,
I know.
yeah, right. I never ever feel judgment from you. Yeah.
No, I don't. I will say, I feel like that's taken a lot of time for me to develop too. I mean,
Hmm.
we all go through phases of life and growth. I think I've gained some softness over time just with
Hmm.
becoming a mom and just different things that have happened in life. I mean, that's how we all develop who we are, right?
Hmm.
But again,
Because sixes
I'm very
can
much
be judgmental, but you're just not.
and I'm not, I mean, I'm not perfect by any means, but I try really hard. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I say grace a lot, but I do try and give people grace because there are many times in my life where I was like, who was that like,
Yeah.
who were you?
Do you feel like do you feel like you have less judgment with me than most people just because at the end of the day I'm trying my best?
I do. Yes and no. Although I feel like also I'll be more honest and truthful with you than I probably would with
That's
other
true.
people because I also know you can handle it.
Yeah,
Like,
as an eight, I can.
again, we've lived many
Hmm.
lifetimes together.
Hmm.
And I also just know, again, like we talk about this all the time with you being an eight, like
Hmm.
I can just point blank be direct and you're gonna be like, okay. I mean, we even just have had that conversation today where like I do like directness, right? Like
Yeah.
you can buff a little bit, but honestly, like I would rather you tell me what it is,
Yeah.
be honest with me and move forward. But I feel like I have to buffer some things with other people because
Mm.
again, I don't I don't know everyone's story. And it's not that I know all of your story, but I also know you're going to be like, to me, if there's like, you're going to tell me if I'm not correct with something, or if you're like, I can't do that. And I'll be like, well, you could, but
Yeah.
your truth is
My
better. You know what I
capacity
mean?
today is not
Yeah.
there. I mean, my favorite, I will never forget. We were talking something about, I don't know what we were talking about. We were talking something about me and getting pregnant. We're always talking about this for a long time, guys. We've been talking about this. Since the beginning of our relationship, we've been talking about this. And you said, well, it doesn't matter because until your head decides that you're going to allow yourself to be pregnant, your eggs aren't going to remove their cloak of invisibility anyways. It's like, geez, is that what it's like to get directness from an eight on the other side? Because I feel like sixes, because sixes can be as direct as eights, especially
We can
more
for
like
sure.
the counterphobic. There's a counter
For
type to every Enneagram type, and the counter type sixes can be equally as direct.
Well, and I feel like you can I can swing into that three, and
Yeah,
that three can be like,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
actually just talking about this with some of my students today. I was like, we were talking about how I was a six. We've been talking about different Enneagrams, and everybody's like, well, yeah, but you're a mom, so you're a six. And I was like, no, but I really am a
No,
six. You guys just
that's
see me
not what
as
makes
like,
it six.
yeah. And I'm like, but you guys see me
It's
as
cute.
like, employee, like running something here, having 20 other doctors under me.
Yeah,
Like you see me in work mode,
yeah,
and work mode is a little different than like life mode. And
yeah.
so again, I feel like I can still have that same directness, but
Hmm.
that buffer is a little bit more there until I get into that three and I'm like, whoa, like that
Yeah.
stress mode kicks in
So
and like
sixes,
that,
yeah, sixes go to three in stress and
yeah.
nine in security. What does that look like for you? What does it look like for you going to three in stress? What does it look like for you going to nine in security when you feel safe and secure in your
Yeah,
environment?
I think, well, I feel like my three really took over a lot kind of my first year
Mm.
here because
Yeah. Well, you were
I'm just,
alone.
yeah, I was here alone while there was a lot of unknown happening in Dallas. And,
So she lives
um,
in Iowa. Little backstory. You live in Iowa
right.
right now, and you and the
We're
kids.
in Iowa right now. We were in Dallas for, as Chelsea said, for years. And we had some health stuff with family that kind of brought me this direction. And we just were kind of unsure when I came here what was going to happen. And
Hmm.
ultimately, it led to our family moving here. But I was here with my two kids, my dogs. My husband was in Dallas,
Hmm.
still running our practice. And there was just a lot of unknown. And for a six, like that, you can't live there. Like I didn't know. I mean, thankfully, I trust in God, and God is a
Hmm.
huge core thing to me. So I knew that there was a bigger plan, but that was really hard for me being a six. And honestly, I think that that led to a lot of even like health stuff for me because
Oh, yeah.
I was stuck in that three for so long.
Box
And
checking, achieving, needing to
yeah, and like
prove,
high achiever and
showing
going and pushing and never resting.
showing that it's all
And I
okay,
didn't,
right? Like making sure, did you
yeah,
feel
like,
that? Like, I got to make sure the world sees that it's all good. Like
yes,
I
absolutely.
knew you weren't all good, but I think the world thought
That's
she's
just it. I couldn't not be all good, right?
mm,
I mean, I couldn't let my
hmm,
kids not see me be all good.
hmm,
And again,
hmm,
like,
yeah,
it's not that my kids couldn't ever see me be sad that daddy wasn't here or anything like that, but I also just couldn't break down.
yeah,
And then on top of that, like once everything was settled with Brian, Tinsley's leg, my daughter broke her femur the week that my husband moved here. And so like the first like year and a half that I was here, it was just a lot of like, I have to achieve, I have to do
yeah,
because if I couldn't be prepared for everything that was happening and I had to just depend on faith at that point. But what I could have control of was me achieving something or doing something. And I knew that the only other option would have been, again, kind of becoming that nine, which is so important. I discovered that I have to lean into some of that nine
hmm,
because when I get stressed, I have to pull myself back and say,
hmm,
it's okay to take a break and you need a break. And honestly, sometimes that means just sitting on the couch and not doing anything and almost forcing myself to do that because I need that. That's just as important, right?
yeah,
That three can be a beautiful thing when I need to do things and achieve and go, but being able to swing back and say, okay, everything is good. Like your kids are fed, your kids are taken care of, you are taken care of, you have a great job, you know what I mean? Like those
yeah,
can wait. you also have to give yourself a minute to breathe and just sit because again, that was never easy for me to do, but gosh, I learned that it was so important last year.
Well,
I can't sit there.
you can
I
get
can't
stuck. Like
sit.
sixes, because sixes can really, you know that you're a six when you're, so I, like when I'm stressed, I go to a five, right? And I go into this deep reflective research mode, which I do think the stressor's never bad. I think it's God's design, right? Like when you're at this ultimate
Right.
stress thing as an eight, I need to get out of doer mode. I need to go into thinker mode and I
Mhm.
need to pull back and I need to just
Right.
breathe, right? You need to be as a six, you need to get out of this spiraling in your head mode and
Yes.
you need to go to that
Yes.
three and just start getting into doing mode so that way you can
Right.
find your way back to the six and find your way back to security in that
Right.
nine to
Because
just
I will
be.
always be able to be in the spiral. Like there is
Yeah.
never a time that I will not
Yeah.
know that there is not an exit
Yeah.
strategy that I need to plan.
Yeah.
Like
That's how
there's
you know.
never
Like sixes are so, I feel like sixes are pretty easy to type. They say they're the most common type, allegedly. I'm like, I don't know about that one.
interesting.
I
Yeah.
don't see them as the most common type,
Yeah.
but that's what they've said before. I've heard it said before by like Suzanne Stabile
I
said
could see
that.
a lot of people mistyping to a six too, though.
Yes, especially right now because people can
Yeah.
be a little doomsday spirally because I think
Right.
too many people are sitting at home on the internet and just
Yep.
Googling too many
Yep.
things. I
Yep.
think that WebMD has allowed people to be a little on the
Oh,
six, right?
for
Where they're
sure.
spiraling and everybody is their own hypochondriac right now. And I tend to be, that's what I love about you though, in the health aspect is as an eight, I tend to just blow it off and keep steamrolling ahead. And you tend to be like, hi, if you keep doing this, the train is going to crash sooner than
Right.
later. Okay. So
Right.
I joke with everybody when I'm teaching the Enneagram, I always say, like, as an eight, I love my life and I'm always like throwing myself off the next cliff of excitement, adventure, and excellence. And then I have, I've got Kobe who's behind me, kind of just making sure because a nine can go to a six in their own
Right.
way.
Right.
Then I've got Brittany on one side, making sure I'm not, killing myself with my health. And then I've got Caroline on the other, who's also a six, making sure in my office that I'm not gonna lose it all, and everything falling through the
Yeah.
cracks. But so that's why I love
Well,
sixes. I think it's
that's what I think. Again, it's just so funny how others like view the world and you. And right now, where I'm at, when again, I have like 20 to be doctors under me, I
Mhm.
have so many systems set up in place, and everybody's like, you're so type A. And I was like, oh, I'm so far from a type A. I was like, I never know where my keys are. I've left my phone at
Yeah.
home more times than I could even count.
Do you think it's
But you
your
know what I do
lack of
have?
type A that's caused you to create the systems?
Right, but that's exactly
It's
it. I was like,
probably,
I have
I'm
to
with
have
you.
calendars
Yeah.
all over. I have to-do lists. I am like, because I also am all about efficiency, right? And like
Hmm.
some of that is my six because I'm
Well,
like, I have to have some of those
six goes to
like
a three.
systems and
Three
right,
requires
right,
efficiency. Threes
right.
desire
But if
efficiency.
I don't do those things, guess what
Mhm.
happens? Then I'm stressed out because I'm like, oh my gosh, where is bull? Right?
Yeah.
Like some of that is keeping my six like
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
like
You didn't
that
come,
keeps me
you
in line.
weren't
It keeps me from
innately.
spiraling and being anxious. And
Yeah.
again, I've learned those things about myself because I also know I am not a natural optimist. Like that's not where my world
I
lives. But I have
know.
learned.
Can we all just
But I
admit
have
sixes are born, y'all are born a little pessimistic.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
my brother. He's never gonna listen to this. My baby brother will never listen to this, but good Lord, sometimes I'm like, Adam. Like we all say
yeah,
that. Adam. Just he gets
yeah,
so fixated on the negative, and I'm like, life is not that bad. Your life is actually
right,
ridiculous. Like everyone's life can just be good because they choose for it to be good, but your life is actually
right,
ridiculously good. Even the things that are going bad, life is still so
right.
good.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
hard to
again,
be
like
all the,
Brian,
like
like
the sky is always falling, right? Like you have to mentally choose that the sky is not falling, right? Like it's
yes.
much harder for you to choose the sky is
Oh
not
my gosh.
falling
And
than
Brian laughs about it all the time because again, like my students will be like, "Oh my gosh, she's the happiest person around." I'm like, "Actually, I just know all of the things that could go wrong, so I am telling you, this is the really good part." Like, Brian makes fun of me like when hear people say again that I'm a type A, he's like, "No." But also when he's like, "She's so happy and optimistic," he's like, "I
yeah.
don't know who it is that you're talking about because she always is like not only is the glass half empty, but it's like dumped out 2 years
Yes.
ago.
I was actually born with an
No.
empty glass, and although this is how I feel like Adam is, I feel like Adam is like, you were all born with glasses that are full, and I was born with a glass that is empty.
Right. But you know what? My the beautiful thing about my three is I will figure out how to fill that puppy
Oh,
up.
I'm gonna remind you all that you were born with more
Right.
water in your glass. I mean, I'm gonna get just as much water in my glass, if not more, but I'm gonna remind you all that I
Exactly.
started,
Yeah.
right?
I be right there with you.
You started,
But no, I feel like sixes
yeah.
can live in that spiral of anxiety. And
Hmm.
honestly, I feel like it's always there for us. There's always
Yeah.
kind of that heaviness in that chest and that like, what if? And,
How do
you
you do
know,
that
like,
as a mom? How do you like to our moms out there that are sixes, like what coping mechanisms have you learned? And like how do you, when you're in that anxious spiral of no return, which nines go there when they're stressed, how
mhm.
do
Which
you
is
bring
also
yourself
really hard
back?
because Brian and I, like, our balance is opposites of each other, right? Like,
Uh-huh. I know. You are my baby brother and his wife. They're samesies. Yeah.
I honestly feel like without the Lord, I don't know how I do it. And
Mm,
I know that's not like an Enneagram answer, but really, like sometimes you just have to, at least for me, I've had to be like, you know what? It
God
is
is
in the
good.
Lord's hand because
Yeah.
I can sit and be anxious and be scared. And I do feel like this last year taught
Mm,
me so much. I mean, when you get in those horrible situations, that's when you learn so
yeah.
much, right? I would never wish any of that on anyone.
Yeah.
But I also just learned that I can't, even when I'm stressed and I'm trying to do all the things,
Hmm.
I I can't do it all,
Yeah.
and I can sit in that, like, anxiety and stress and let it eat me alive,
Hmm.
or I can say, "You know what? This is something where I have to let go,
Yeah.
and I have to trust."
Mm,
Because really, because trusting is also hard for a 6. I mean, like, I trust my people,
hmm.
but trust is not
Yeah.
I feel like it's something that really has to be kind of, like, earned over time with us, and
Yes.
it's not that I don't trust you initially, but, like, it has to be proved to me in a sense.
Well, how does that, because your one of your core fears is feeling unsafe and being physically abandoned. So do you think that's part of
Mhm.
it is there's this deep running fear that people aren't safe and people are going to leave you, so it takes you longer than other people to trust them?
I think so. Again, I think that it's something that you have to build up over time with them. I have to
Yeah.
know that I think some of that is also, again, like
Yeah.
me learning to trust myself enough to be confident in who I am,
Yeah.
to let others see who I truly am, and to
Hmm.
say, like, this is me. I am who I am, and I'm
Yeah.
confident in my choices and my decisions, but I also am confident in who that person is,
Yeah.
right? I know that I could tell you just about everything and anything, and there really wouldn't be a lot of judgment. I mean, you may tell me something, but it's not true judgment, right?
No.
Again, we've kind of learned that over years with each other, but I also know that it would take a big monumental thing, and it wouldn't be me, like who I am as an individual, for you and I to not be friends anymore, right?
That'd be
It would have
weird.
to
You'd
be
have
like
to
a
lose your
lot.
mind. Like it would be like I woke up one day and started drinking Mountain Dew every day and you like joined a witchcraft cult or something like that.
Right.
Which then
Like
we
just a
wouldn't abandon each other. We would be genuinely concerned
right, right. And so again,
and
I
plan an
think that
intervention.
showing your colors of again, like I do
Mm,
have a lot of these fears and anxieties, and like I don't know about this, but I also it's like a weird spot to be as a 6
yeah.
because you do have some of you're so scared and nervous and like even just mom group things, right? Like
Hmm.
I may do things very different than other mom groups, and I'm almost like scared to talk about my things. So people will ask me for like my expertise, and I'm like,
What's the
well,
fear in that?
like I lead it with facts because
Okay.
I don't know, I don't want people to have a judgment of it's like a safety security
So
mechanism for me.
you fear the judgment?
I fear the what the outcome will be. Not necessarily the judgment, what the outcome will be of that.
Well, okay, so let's say you're in a mom's group and somebody asks your opinion of them giving them their kids all the things that the general medical world loves to give. That we were talking about before we got on that like, we don't I don't even give it to my dog, which is why I think she's super healthy at 16 years old. So why like if I asked you about it, you would just tell me your honest opinion.
So I would tell you my opinion, but I also don't think I trust that you aren't going to judge me for my opinion, right?
Okay, so what happens if they judge you?
And-
So, because I'm genuinely asking, like, as an
Right.
eight, if I Well, this isn't true. This isn't true. As an eight, I have people in my life who are not like you. Like you are like my, what I aspire and dream to be as far as like all the things that you do being very clean and holistic with your life. Because you also do it in such a balanced way, right? You accept your limitations within it. Like we are road tripping and we're on the road and our kids might get Chick-fil-A today. But at home, I'm not going to feed my kids Chick-fil-A. They're going to eat organic, whatever, whatever, whatever. And you do all the things, right? I love that. I love where you found just this beautiful balance in your life. And I know that if I'm like, oh, I am going to get a gluten-free pizza, it has to be gluten-free. I'm legitimately allergic to gluten. But like, I'm going to eat gluten-free pizza today with literal cheese on it and their non-organic, God knows what pizza sauce that Pizza Hut makes with some freaking pepperoni on top that are absolutely full of all the crap. And
Right.
you're not going to judge me for that. Now, if I like other people are though. And I don't like when I think about their judgment as an eight, what I don't want is I don't care that what bothers me is just shut up. Like I don't care about your opinion. Like nobody asks for your opinion. And people are like, well, if you're putting your life on the internet, you're asking for an opinion. That's not true. I didn't say,
Right.
please judge me and tell me how I suck at life because I'm eating this fully GMO Pizza Hut
Right.
pizza. Please judge me. I didn't ask for that. And quite frankly, you're not helping anyone giving those opinions. So that's my thing. And because then I'm going to get angry and then I'm going to go tell them to suck it, right? And like
Right.
eat my, yeah. How does
I think
that?
mine is more the fear of rejection and fear of rejection for my family, right? Like it's one thing if you don't like me. I mean, I don't love that you don't like me. But I don't necessarily need you to be my friend. But I also think that people deserve respect. And I think that losing like the respect and trust of someone is a big thing.
You
So
also
I
would
think
never want your kids to not be invited to something because there's a
exactly.
judgmental parent.
So I think that's more about it. It's again, I don't care if you don't invite me, but it's more of my family or my kids, right?
Mm,
Because there shouldn't be a fallout for them. Because again, we're very confident in who we are, and I don't care what you do with your kids. So like, why are you caring what I do with mine or my
yeah,
kids or my family? Like
yeah,
that's more of what it is. And I think some of that honestly comes from that safety and security of like my like security of my people, right? Like
right.
I don't want to project that onto them. Again, Chet is an 8. So Chet would be like,
Yes, y'all,
"Meh,
her
like,
son,
like," he'd be like, not a big deal, this, blah, 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 right?
her son is an eight. Is
Tinley
he
is
eight?
so tender. He is.
Right? Your eight is an eight.
Yeah. And Tinsley is just so tenderhearted
Oh, she
that
is.
her feelings would be hurt from it.
Yeah.
Um,
Chet
and
would be
so
like,
that
well,
would
you
keep
guys are idiots and you're gonna die early, so have fun with that.
and like it would kill my heart as a 6. Some of that, like I would feel like I didn't do my best safety wise, security wise, keeping my
Hmm.
kids safe and secure.
That's tough.
Because and so I think as a mom, that's kind of where that comes in. And, I feel like, again, you talk to people and they're like, oh, yeah, they always have their first aid kit or whatever. And I do feel like I'm very prepared in that sense. But I feel like I'm very prepared. I don't always have a band aid. I don't always, right? But
Yeah.
I feel like I am prepared for a lot of scenarios and situations.
Yeah. How does your
But
six
because I'm trying to prevent what that fallout
would be?
would be.
So how does your six cope with, we in our own homes are not going to consciously buy, let's say, what is it, like a Twinkie? Okay, we're not going to buy
Mhm.
Twinkies. Heck, we're not even going to buy, we don't buy like gummy bears with all the junk in them and food dyes and stuff. So let's say, how does your six cope with your kids being at a birthday party eating Twinkies and the food dyes
You know
and
what?
like
We
literally
got to
though, how
live.
do you cope in your brain? Did you have to work on
Honestly,
that?
I did. Yes and no.
Yeah.
I also just think that some of that goes back to my like 80/20 lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? I think that I also feel very secure in
Mm,
me preparing my kids for life. And
yeah.
again, I do live an 80/20 lifestyle. Like, I am not here to say that we are perfect with all of the health, everything, but
Mhm.
I also, am confident that for us, where my comfort is, they don't get a lot of that stuff a lot of the time.
So their
And
bodies are
so
supported to process
I
it when
think
they
that they're
do.
gonna be okay. They're going to be
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And, like when there's a lot of coughing and snot and slobber and all those things going around the school, like I'm not scared of germs,
No.
right? But I also am confident that like we're going to be strong enough, tough enough to be able to battle it. And we're going to do our best to not eat those things, right?
Do you have a lot of
But
affirmations?
also have to realize like my kids are going to make their decisions someday when they grow up. And so all I can do is try and arm them and prepare them and teach them like this isn't what our family does, but others may choose to do that. And that's
Yeah.
okay. Like it is okay. That's just not what our family chooses to do.
Yeah. Do you have like a lot of little mini mantras in your head almost that you use to remind yourself? Like little mini mantras of like they're going to be okay. I've equipped their bodies. They're going to
Yeah, definitely. I went through a lot of those with, again, I felt really unprepared when we were in the hospital with Tinsley,
Oh, and her
more
broken
so
leg.
than
Because she had to
even
have
like,
surgery. She
right,
broke her
yeah,
femur, extreme
yep,
surgery, right? She never really had anything foreign put in her body like that. I'm not even talking
yeah.
about screws. I'm talking about like anesthesia and all that.
No, I mean, nothing. Yeah. I mean, the girl, I don't know that she had ever even had like, I mean, we never had fevers. We never
Mm-mm.
had, like she hadn't had any of that. And
Yeah.
again,
Because you
that's
let your
just
kids
where
have
our life
fevers.
was.
Like, let's say your kid has a fever, you let them have the fever.
Up to a point, right?
Yeah.
Again, like where Brian and I are comfortable, it's a conversation that he and I would have.
Yeah.
To be 100% honest with you, Brian is so much better at some of that stuff than I am. Like
Mm.
mom mode comes out and like doctor mode goes out, and sick stress mom mode comes out when like my kids do get sick and Brian's like, we're fine. Like they're getting this. I'm like, okay, okay.
That's how
Can I
I
just put all that?
feel though when y'all brought that fresh. Yo, when Tinsley was a brand new fresh baby on Christmas Day, she was an hour and a half old, and they waltzed back in the front door with her, and I was at home with gosh, how old was Chet? Not very old.
6.
16 months, there you go. And really 16 months. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, they just brought a fresh newborn baby home. Like, how is this baby going to be okay? And I was like, well, they're doctors, I suppose.
I mean,
Y'all were chill.
but yeah, like when she was
In the
in there,
hospital.
and again, like I didn't have time to do all the research on all the
Hmm.
medications that they were giving them. And I remember, like we were here in Davenport when we got the phone call that she did it in Des Moines. And I just remember like I had the ambulance, the paramedics on speakerphone with Brian, and they're like, yeah, we gave her a dose of fentanyl and then we did this. And we're like,
Fentanyl?
and it's very common, right? Like they did it after surgery too. And Ryan and I both were like, what? But I also
Her
had to just
poor
have
little
peace
body, fentanyl. I mean,
knowing
and she's so
that like
tiny. She was probably
I
tripping
was like,
out.
here's the thing is like, I am so grateful that they know what they're doing. And I am so grateful
Sure.
that they trust in their education. And I am so grateful that they know more about this than I do
Hmm.
and that they are so good at what they do. Right. And
Yeah.
I didn't have, so I can't say that I was secure in all of what was happening, but I felt safe and secure
Yeah.
in the people that the Lord put in our life
Yeah.
to do that. And I was safe and secure in my trust that the Lord was going to put
The right
good
people.
provider in our place
Hmm.
because I couldn't swing to a strong 3 in that and all of a sudden go through all that training and say, I want XYZ for them,
Yeah.
right? I had to know that I was confident in how I raised my kids. I felt confident in the body's ability to heal. But
Mm-hmm.
gosh, you know what? Like I was so happy that that guy who cut into my daughter's leg and screwed screws in there was so good at what he did,
Yeah.
right? Like,
But
and I
you
didn't
have to
have to.
affirm
Like I
yourself
didn't
in
have to.
that. It's not so when that happened, it's not that you didn't spiral. You did spiral,
Oh, for sure.
right? And it
Yeah,
was
I didn't sleep for months.
constantly, was it a const? Yeah, I mean, I was there a little bit, right? It was,
Yeah.
yeah. So is it this, I never, as a six, who you've grown in your day-to-day life, you're very secure in your day-to-day life, right? And
Yeah, and I feel like it's taken me a long time to get there though. I
yeah,
feel like I am a really healthy 6 right
yeah,
now.
you are.
There were many years of my life that I mean, again, I feel like it's almost hard for me to say that again about a lot of these anxieties because I have worked really hard on a lot
Yeah.
of things.
Well,
I'm confident saying that.
when did you find the
Um,
Enneagram? Did we find it at the
easier
same
to
time?
pull out of these spirals.
I can't remember.
What?
Did we find the Enneagram at the same time? Did I force it upon
Yeah.
you? Or did you already know about
I
it?
think that you know what? I think that I had either found it and somehow it came up in a conversation. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a 6 or whatever." Like I
Hmm.
had found, I think that we may have found it right around the same time, but
Yeah.
it was like it wasn't because we like
Yeah.
found
We
it
didn't find it
together.
from each other, but like we both independently were
Yeah.
like, oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Right.
it was before it was a big thing. It was not all over the internet when we found
Yeah.
it. And
No, I mean, it
then,
was years ago.
yeah. Well, and
I mean, the babies were so
Brian's kind of a
so
researcher. Brian and Kobe, they love their history and their facts. Good Lord, help us all. Their nineness, you know? Because it's easier.
yeah.
History is behind us. History is so predictable because it's already done. And I
Right.
think that's why nines love history because it's
Oh
already
yeah.
done. It can't be changed. It's so stable
Right.
and certain. And
Right.
so, how quickly
Yeah.
did you know that you were a six? Like, how quickly did you figure out the Enneagram and go, I'm this. Like, this is me.
Yeah. Honestly, when I was just reading through like quick reads of them, I kind of zoned in thinking that I was a 6 because there were just so many, again, like things
Sixes are
just
just
clicked.
so apparent.
Yeah, I really knew, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna take it to see, and took it, and I was definitely a 6. And I also, when I found out like 6 wing 7, I was like, oh yeah, like that is definitely me because
Mm.
I think of things, but again, like if someone's like, hey, do you want to go do this? Or like, hey, do you want to take the kids here for the weekend? I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, wait,
Yes, you can be. I feel like you can be very spontaneous. Like your wing seven is pretty strong. You're
yeah. And I feel
very
like
go with the flowy.
I wouldn't call myself an extrovert, but I feel like that wing 7
Yeah,
like pulled me that direction to want to go do those things.
yeah,
But then I need like,
yeah.
a recovery.
So when you figured out you were a six and you read all of the thing, the doomsdaying kind of, the
Mhm.
spiraling, the anxiety, what was that like realizing for you that one, you weren't alone in that. There are other people that feel like that, but two, that in itself, like other people, most people don't experience that.
Right.
Because it's a
Um,
twofold, right? It's like I'm not alone, but
yeah.
also
It was eye-opening to
this is
me
how people
because
experience
again,
me.
I I think that um it kind of opened up some dialogue to myself to be
Yeah.
like, oh, again, like even Brian, right? Like
Yeah.
I was
What
like,
did
how
he
can
say when
you
he
not
figured out you were like,
about
how
it?
was
Like,
that?
what do you mean? Like Brian's just like, it'll work out. And I was like, how can you just say it's gonna
Yeah.
work out? Like
Yeah.
I have so much stress and anxiety
Hmm.
over blah blah blah. And he's
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
because guess what? Tomorrow's gonna come and it's
Yeah.
gonna happen. And then what he's like, what is being anxious gonna do for you?
So how
Like,
what was that like
so
going like, "Oh my gosh, this makes so much sense then. I'm a 6. I think of everything that's going to go wrong. He's a 9. He avoids thinking everything that's going to go wrong." Like, this makes so much sense.
honestly, it gave me a ton of peace. It really did. Because I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like I do see where all this doomsday is coming
Yeah.
from, but
And
I
why he
also
doesn't
realized I
have
don't
it.
have to make it.
But
Yeah.
he
And like
can.
I
It's
can
just
be
where he goes in
like,
stress.
great.
Yeah.
Right. I can be like, okay. And I saw that too, right? Like, because if the beauty of having a 9 that goes to a 6
Hmm.
and a 6 that goes to a 3 is when he goes to a 6 and spirals, that 3 kicks in, and I'm like, okay, let's get
Hmm.
this going,
I
right?
have
Like, there is
watched this.
energy for us to spiral because we can't spiral together.
I
We
have
can't.
watched this. Like when he is spiraling and numbing out of control, you go into like get shiz done mode.
Right.
It is beautiful. It is so beautiful. Like it's so complimentary. I think that's God's
It
design, right?
is.
It bringing you all
It is.
together. Yeah.
And I think, that was one of the beautiful things about us practicing together too
Mm.
was,
Because y'all had
you
a
know,
chiropractor practice together for how long?
did from 20, oh gosh, when Chet was born 2016.
Yeah,
So 2016 up until this past year.
summer. Yeah.
So,
So like
um,
8 years. Eight
yeah,
years, of course. The
no.
beginnings. There you
Uh,
go.
but it was beautiful
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do that together because
Mm-hmm.
we could kind of bounce off each other. And when one of us would kind of dip down, the other one could pick it up. But I will say we can also get real lazy together. Like if I,
This is real for sixes. Let's talk about this. So when sixes feel safe and secure and they go to the nine, it can also look very land of you can get too comfortable, right? You can get too secure, and then you look back and go, ah, dang it,
yeah,
right?
for sure. And again, I feel like I've done a good job of being able to kind of do that balance
Yeah,
of, I feel like as a 6, it's hard for me to just sit down because that 3 tends to take over
yeah,
instead of kind of letting myself sit. But
yeah.
if I can just sit all day and do nothing, but then what happens is that anxiety of like, oh, I didn't do anything, or like life isn't happening, or like
Oh.
what's gonna happen? How are we gonna eat groceries this week because I sat on the couch on Saturday instead of meal planning? And like,
Yeah,
oh no, now the kids are gonna have snacks. And like,
it is a
again, like
double.
Like when I say I get stressed about that,
Like that is your life. This is where you
I
live.
don't have
You
a
you
good
you
plan
live in
for
this
the
do you
like,
feel like you live in this constant tug of I feel
yes,
so chill right now and I want to just numb out and watch some
like I
Netflix
want to.
and zone out and then I do that but then my 6 brings me back to reality of like hey, do you not notice everything that's not done here? And then my 3
Right,
gets into this judgmental you're not enough because you didn't do enough
right.
mode. Like is that your constant inner war?
Absolutely
That's
it
your war.
is. And I mean, even last night, like last
Yeah.
night's a perfect example. It was just a really long week at work, and there's some stuff that happened that was
How has it been such a long weekend? Last night was Wednesday.
uh,
I sat at my kitchen
I
counter
know.
last night and cried at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I just sat there and cried. I'm like, this has been the
Yeah,
longest
it's so
3-day week.
I so last night Brian got home and he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm just grumpy. I'm tired. I'm whatever." And so last night, I was like, "I just want to watch TV." So I like sat and watched this show, and
Yeah.
I fell asleep watching it. And I was like, "I like, what are you doing?" Like I was starting to fall asleep and I was like, "Go to bed. You're going to be tired tomorrow. You're going to be so upset that you did this." But I was like, "I'm not going to bed. I just want to watch this and zone out." And
Yeah.
then I'm like, again, like you go back and forth. And then I had anxiety, like, "Oh my gosh, am I going to miss my alarm today? Do I need to reset my alarm? Is my watch still charged?" Like there's so many things. And again, I say stressful, but I'm like, gosh, like it's just a vicious cycle and
Yeah.
circle of like, what
It
is
is
going
a
on in
little
your life?
bit, it is kind of a never ending thing. Okay, so then is it just, are you just, it's just constantly that you're talking to yourself and bringing yourself back down
Oh,
nonstop.
yes. Yes.
And Brian knows how to bring you
Absolutely.
down too, as well.
He does.
Yeah.
I think that I don't want to speak to other marriages, but I
Yeah.
think every marriage figures out that balance. But
Yeah.
I
Oh.
honestly say this all the time that he
Hmm.
is like my rock and
Yeah.
my foundation. And I say that because he really is my
Mm.
like calm in the storm because my storm is 100% of the time. Again,
Yeah.
I can tell you
Mm.
just about everything that's going to be wrong in the next week, but he keeps
Hmm.
me grounded. He is kind of like that optimist who's like, "We're good to go. Like it's
Yeah.
always fine." I'm like, "What about our retirement in 20 years?" And he's like, "We have 20 years.
I
Like it's fine."
know. That's the beauty
And
of
so I
being
really do feel like he
married
is
to
just
nine.
kind of that person that brings me back. And I feel like being married to him for as long as I have,
Mm.
which again, we have a whole lifetime ahead of us still, but like
Yeah.
he has really also taught me to ground myself and be like, "Okay, like how many times has this guy
But
fallen?
don't you feel like he's
Never."
taught you to
So
chill? Because
like
I feel like Kobe has
for
taught
sure.
like being married to a nine. I used to, when we would actually, he would come over to my house and we would watch
Yeah.
movies because he loves watching movies. When he would get me to actually sit down, every time I would never make it through the first 5 minutes of a movie because well,
Right.
you know how I used to live. I just
Yeah.
can't stop, won't stop. I
Right.
mean, that was my life theme. And
It's
so he
so
taught
good
me
for us though.
to
Like
chill.
honestly,
Yeah.
it's
He
so
chills. So
good.
Brian chills your mind, but and Kobe chills my
Yes.
like overdoing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And again, like
Yeah.
I think that's so good because again, I need that like
Hmm.
chill mind and
Hmm.
knowing that like I can count on him. Again,
Yeah.
even with, the chaos of everything with the office and the chaos of everything with Tinsley, like Brian was just there and he's like,
Yeah.
"We're gonna get through it. Like this is gonna work." And again, I was in the chaos of all the things here, but he was like, "We got this.
Yeah.
Like we're good." And
It
so
was so wonderful.
again, that anxiety is 100% always there, but it's taken a lot of self-work to be like,
I'm gonna be
"Okay,
okay, and it's gonna be
you
okay.
see this, recognize this, the stress is not going to go away, but also you're going to burn yourself out
Hmm.
and then you're not going to be able to do." So, what is our exit strategy here? What is our small
Mm.
bite that we can do? Let's move forward,
Your
right?
your whole 80/20 thing is almost, you're so good at giving other people grace with because you're like, you need to live an 80/20 life. But I also wonder if some of your 80/20, how well you do with it is because you have to give yourself 80/20 grace or you'd make yourself crazy,
I agree.
right?
I say 80/20, but that like 20% that I give myself,
Yeah.
I'm still hard on myself and still stressed about it, right? I mean, there's always
I
that like, "Oh, well, what if I
know.
didn't? What if but
I feel that
again, that's
though. I do feel
learning to
that.
give myself grace. Like
Yeah.
I feel like
Do you just get anxious
uh,
about it? Like I just am like, this is not being, you are not being excellent doing this right now.
oh, for sure. Yeah, like is that a really good choice to
Or do you like death spiral with it of like, oh my gosh, I'm giving myself cancer.
Right. Right. But also like, okay, like
Mhm.
we're
I know.
spiral. Again, I'm really good at recognizing when it's a spiral
Yeah.
or any of that. Doesn't mean I can always pull myself out of it, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm well aware that I can't always, but that mindset is always there of like, what's going on, right? Like
Yeah.
I always say, the world has a lot of anxieties
Yeah, they
and
do.
the world has a lot of anxieties that are created. Um, the being able to balance that is something that I'm really, really working on.
Yeah. Did somebody just which kid just came?
You come say hi.
Yeah. Hi, Tinsley.
This is
Hey,
Kinsley.
girl. Do you want to say hi?
Say hi, friends. Can you say hi to him? It's a podcast. Hi.
Hi. They're on audio, so some people will see your face, but most people will just hear your voice. I can't wait to figure out someday what your Enneagram is. We know it's got to be in the
Yes.
2, 3, 4
And the more I look at it, I almost think it's a two.
too.
The more
So
and more I
tender, so
do.
sweet,
Yeah.
very
That's too
kind,
soon.
so helpful. Since the day she was born, she came out of the
Yes.
womb sweet and kind and loving.
Yes.
Yeah, she did.
And then there's my 8, who is
Oh
bold.
my gosh, she was your reward for your firstborn being an 8.
He is so special, but
I know.
those 8 mamas.
Yeah. Woo! I know it gives you so much more grace for my mom, huh? I
Mm-hmm.
know she survived. I guess we're always still going through it. I will tell you, just you being a mom and as me being an 8, sometimes he just probably says things that you're like, that was hurtful and so to the point. I will tell you, I am getting better and better. My mom has always done this thing, Barb, my mom. Brittany knows my mom
Yes.
very well. She loves sending me training videos and information, and the whole time I've been alive, tell her, like, I don't watch these. This overwhelms me. Like, you love watching and acquiring more information nonstop. I can't do that. It literally makes my brain shut down. I cannot, like, I'm not going to watch it. Please stop sending it to me. Or I'll complain about something and then she'll tell me what to do. And I'm like, I didn't ask you for that. And I
Right.
used to erupt at her and be like, you're such a moron. You're so stupid. Like, literally, nobody asked you for that. And now I will tell you, I'm getting so much better at being, thank you so much for sending that to me. But just a reminder, I didn't ask for it, but if I need it, I will ask you.
We're working hard on that conversation and like those words right now
Yeah.
because eruption is a real thing. And
Yes.
I see it, I hear it,
Mhm.
I respect it, but let's create a little buffer here.
Yeah.
And like, you're not wrong, but your words
Yep.
are, and your tone is
Yeah.
very wrong.
I mean, I will tell you though, yesterday, something happened yesterday and this is moments like this when I'm like, oh, I know I'm an 8. I was so instantly furious because it was just like enough was enough. And so
Right.
I text Kobe like a 3 sentence synopsis. And then my next text was, can I call you? Which it's all I said, can I call you? Which he knew was like, oh,
Right.
she is somebody has crossed a line and she needs to like blow all the steam out of her body. And I just sat in the Sprouts parking lot going nuts. Like, I mean, I was just in every nasty, hurtful 8 thing I possibly could. Not at him, but like to him
Right.
about this situation. And it was so, I mean, and then I did it. I probably screamed and yelled and swore for like 12 minutes straight. And here's what I love that he does so well. All I'm asking for is like somebody to like grab a shovel with me to bury this situation alive. Like my
Right.
sixth brother, when the neighbor guy told me I was broken about 6 weeks ago and I needed to get it fixed because I was 40 without kids and married for a decade and didn't have kids and whatever. And I say something very 8-ish in my family group text, and my sixth brother felt, for some reason, he just like felt a lot of judgment from it. And he's like very quick to make comments like, well, you don't understand because you don't have kids. And he's 8 years younger than me. So I am very good at reminding him like, hey, that's not appropriate. We don't say those things. Those are hurtful things. Because I feel like as his sister who's 8 years older, he needs to be like, somebody needs to tell him, we don't say those things. Okay. You're a dude. You don't say those things to women who are 40 without kids. Like, you just literally don't know? And so he is still a little mad at me about that right now. But yesterday was a great example where Kobe and I'm like, Adam, I didn't like, Kobe's a great example where it's like when an 8 is so mad, they just need someone to like grab a shovel with them. Like,
Right.
just grab a shovel. You don't have, and just agree with me.
Well, and there's no like it's almost like you guys are seeing red. Like you can't hear,
No,
you can't,
no.
like you're in that storm.
It is
But
like
like
red. It is like red.
yeah. And kind of speaking to that, we were talking about like how it is for me when I like a judgment in a sense, but I
Yeah.
think some of that is not necessarily like a judgment, but I don't want to create the stress in other people's lives,
Mm.
right? Like I know what it feels like to have that stress
Yeah.
that I had to come to those
Yeah.
conclusions with to do that.
Yeah.
And like I don't want to create that for them.
So as a
And so
mom of an eight, like as a six, who is a mom of an eight, like how does that in your head can you go, I don't want to make this worse for him?
I try. I do try really hard. And I think that some of that is I try to be as soft as I can, but I also, with a eight, you have to hold your ground too.
Well, that's
And
part of it though.
especially like
He's testing you.
being a mom. Yeah, that's just it. Like he
Mm-hmm.
wants to know that I'm sure of what I'm sure of.
Mm-hmm.
And like my
Mm-hmm.
boundary is my boundary. And I feel like kids in general, like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm new at this parenting thing, right? Like, I am not perfect. I get that.
Yeah.
20 years, I'll probably say something different than I do today. But I do think that I don't think kids have to have boundaries to be good kids by any
Yeah.
means. But I think that kids need to know kind of what is or isn't okay. And then they
Mm.
can learn from those things. But I think for eights, they do need to know what their hard boundary is.
Oh yeah.
But how can you get
Well,
to
it's
it?
the line. Like Kobe has done that, right? My parents have
And
always done that, and Kobe has always done that.
right.
There's a
Like,
line.
here's the line.
There is a line. And I know I can go
Right.
to, and I know like I don't cross the line, but I can go right up to the line and it's okay. But
Right.
also eights feel so safe knowing that they can be themselves and that there is a line.
And I think people don't realize eights are so soft and gentle and feel so deeply, so,
Oh,
so
I mean,
deeply. But people
I
don't
cussed him
see
for,
that.
yeah, I cussed him for 12 minutes on the
They don't,
phone and then he got
right.
home and
That's what I'm
I
saying. They see that
bawled
like
for an hour.
they see that hard exterior,
Yeah.
but my gosh, like there is so much softness and gentleness and love to be had there. Like passion is an
Hmm.
eight. Like I just feel like that's the word for eights is like passion because they are passionate about no matter what direction they go. Um, and
Or
so
whatever their
they're
belief is at the current moment.
right, right. And like there's
Yes.
so much beauty in that. And so even like Chet will play a game or something and get like so whoa, and I'm like, Chet, like you gotta take a breath, like you gotta calm down. You can't let
Hmm.
people have that much impact on you. But he's
No.
like, what, mom? Like he doesn't even
No.
recognize that it's like blowing up into what it is. And
Hmm.
so I want him to embrace that, but I also am like, okay, but like the world has to see you for who you are and not your reactions to things,
Okay.
Like,
You knew me in my 20s. That was
yeah,
hard. Realizing like
yeah,
people were making me so mad and I was erupting in public, but people weren't seeing them and their actions. They were only
right.
seeing my reaction. People weren't seeing what they were doing, they were only seeing my reaction. So I just looked like a spoiled brat. When in
Well, and I
reality,
think that without getting to know you,
yeah,
eights can look very, again, like a really rough exterior.
yeah, kind of just, I don't,
But
yeah,
you need to know them and they have to trust you enough
yeah, they have to
to
trust you.
also, like show you that soft side of them because it's
Yeah.
easier to be rough and tough almost, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny though that you, the six, who can worry about everything and how everything's gonna play out and all the scenarios and how they're gonna play out in your head, and then God gave you an eight. I found that. But then I think he rewarded you with the Tinsley the two, who's just so sweet and tender.
Yeah. Well, again, I see all scenarios. So I think that's why he gave me an eight because I'm like, again, I'm
Uh-huh.
sure so many people have seen it, but I'm like, they're going to be a CEO one day or they're going to be in jail one day. And I'm
Yep.
like, I see those. I
I
see
still
those.
question that some days. I'm like, woo, a year from now, I could be a CEO or I could be in jail. I still feel it. There are days where I'm
And,
like,
I always
Chelsea,
say,
you got
I
to
mean,
choose
like,
CEO right now. Do not choose jail.
I think both my children are going to do amazing things with their life. I do, but I'm like,
Yeah.
you got to rein it in a little bit,
I
buddy. And Tinsley,
know.
like, you are so soft and so gentle and so sweet. And I need you to, I mean, you're physically tough, but I need those emotions to like buffer up a little bit too, because we can't let everybody hurt our feelings.
Yeah. Okay, so does Brian use the Enneagram language as much in parenting as you do? Because I know you do.
No, probably not as much. I mean, Brian is really, again, he's fairly level-headed.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm not as level-headed as him.
He's a logic-based guy.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think that he doesn't use it again. I don't think that he's opposed to it, but he's
Mhm.
like, whatever,
Yeah.
he really does try and talk to the kids about things and try and explain it better. But I feel like I really do try. Again, I don't know. I know Chet is an 8. He is. Tinsley,
Yeah.
again, I'm still trying to figure it out.
She's in the two. She's got, I wouldn't say she's a
Yeah.
3, definitely in the 2-4.
No.
She's in the two
Yeah,
four.
I feel like she is for sure.
Yeah.
And so, I would say that I won't say that I haven't ever looked it up to see again, like how can I better serve them? How
Yeah.
can I again like use my strengths to help them? But
Mhm.
also like what can I do with, again, like when I feel wounded, how can I protect them from feeling that because of where their
Yeah.
wounds may come from,
I think
right?
your 6 is always planning ahead with that.
Right,
Like,
and, like, that stress and anxiety, like, I don't want them to live that life, you
mhm.
know? I mean, I see a lot of that stress and anxiety, and a lot of those, like, stress words are used in schools today,
Yeah, they are.
and trust will
Overused.
be like, "Can I take a ball to help with my stress?" And I was like,
Oh my
"Okay,
gosh.
we
Chet.
need to fix things here," because also, like, I don't want you to live in my stress and anxiety, but also, like,
I also don't believe that Chet has stress.
I mean, he has stress, but
Do you think so?
I think it's, I don't
Like,
know,
do you think
different than
like
mine.
they're over amplifying it at school? I mean, like, oh, you need to bring a
Yeah,
ball to
yeah,
school.
for
I'm
sure.
like, no, he's saying, can I bring a ball to school for my stress? Because I really just want to bring a ball to
Yes.
school, and this is a good way
Can
to
I
validate that
he
he
wants
can bring a ball
like,
to
"I'm gonna throw
school.
this up in the air."
Yeah, I'm like, he's just validating how he can bring a ball to school, but that's really smart of him.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah,
Okay.
he's smart.
Yeah, he's smart. Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple conflict activators and a couple how to get along with a 6 best. So for a 6,
Okay.
you can set off a 6 by being targeted, blamed, or accused unfairly. Do you feel that?
Mm, yeah, for sure,
Yes. So
for
I
sure.
think that's where I made Adam mad because I think he felt like I don't know. It's how I word. I'm sure it's how I worded it. Like
Yeah.
I
No,
basically
I
was
think
like, if I ever catch any of you speaking to a woman the way this neighbor just spoke to me, like I'm coming for you, but I didn't say it that nice. And I think he
right.
felt like I was attacking him probably, and I was
Right.
more just like, I more wanted him
I
to,
think that some of it is because you feel like
yeah,
you have already done something wrong, and so you are accusing me of something when I have worked so hard to not do that, right? And
yeah,
so you're almost accusing me of the other thing is like I am very loyal. I am loyal to a fault almost. And
mm-hmm,
so if you are accusing me of something that is not who I am or not I haven't proved to be true, I am the hardest critic. Again, I
so he
think
didn't
everyone is a
even
really
hear
hard
the
critic,
neighbor
but
comment, did he?
yeah.
Didn't
No,
even like, I'm like,
I
what
think
in
he did
the,
it as in like
like
you are
literally,
telling me that I am judging you for not having kids yet. And I
yeah,
am not like I don't care. I'm on your side. I'm on your team, but you are telling me that I am doing this for you.
yeah.
Like I didn't hurt you. Like why are
Well,
you
see,
saying that
like,
I
but
hurt
my
you?
Enneagram 3 brother was like, yes, I will bring the shovel when we come. Like, let's send Barrett over so this guy can know why not everybody has kids. I'm like,
Right.
yeah, that's the
And so
reaction I
it's
was coming
almost like
for. No, but not Adam. Adam felt like I
yeah.
like hung him on the cross
Mhm.
that day. I was like, did I miss
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
What just
It
happened?
does. It like wounds you almost.
Oh
And you're like,
my
I'm
gosh.
in your corner though. Like I'm in your corner and why are you accusing me of this when
Yeah.
like
So it's
I'm
hard
on your
for
team?
you, like you do very easily feel targeted and blamed and accused, even though that's not what that person is doing. Like you're gonna
And
more innately feel that.
And I think that you do because you're already so hard on yourself. You're already so hard and you
Mm,
feel prepared to get out of all those situations, but now I'm cornered. And
yeah,
I have no strategy for how to get out of this and I
yeah,
also can't fix it for you, right? Like I
yeah.
don't have
Well, then I
a
made it
plan.
worse because he was like, I
Right.
can't believe you would think I would say that. And I was like, well, you do actually make some like inappropriate comments. And then he took himself out of the family group chat, which I didn't even know you could do. And I was like, well, that just escalated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Escalated and like 3 text messages. What in the world? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
So again, I feel like, yeah, some of that is like you feel personally attacked because you are, again, like I work really hard to not offend. I work really hard
yeah,
to like balance all of this. And then you're telling me that
yeah.
I'm not.
And I
It's
was like, can't
hurtful
you
to.
just see that your sister is so, like, when I am hurt, I get so mad and mean.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I didn't quite realize the depth of that about 6s until today. So that's good. I should probably bring that back to him. So My mom's like, you need to apologize. I'm like, I don't need to apologize. Like, he needs to apologize for just like taking that so internally. So maybe instead of apologize, I'll explain to him, like, I'm sorry, I didn't understand how you would personalize that so much. What I
Right.
really needed you to say was, do I need to bring him to Mexico or do I need to just bring a shovel?
Right. Or like, how can I help this situation?
Yeah.
Like, what would you like me to do in
Yes.
this situation?
Yes. And which, as an eight, it's always join me in my anger, you know?
And I think that there's also something to be said for like, again, a six is looking at all of the options
Mm-hmm.
because we have plan A through Z laid
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And so when I'm not given or allowed to even express any of those, it's
Mm.
really hard because I'm like, but you're not looking at like your options here. Like,
Yeah.
this is a really bad situation, but like, we could do this. Like,
Yeah.
let's try and do this. But you aren't even like including me in that
Yeah.
equation.
Yeah. I
Like, I'm
feel
trying
that.
to help because I have all the solutions.
Yeah.
Like, I can come up with how to fix all these things. Trust me. Like,
Hmm.
I have all the exit plans, but you're taking me out of this completely.
How do you, so right now he is building a building and he's got to do all these things and he's got to make a lot of choices about all this building, which this whole building thing is happening all at the same time that, this
Mhm.
discussion happens. And so I do know that he's very decision fatigue.
Oh, tap.
Can we talk about that? Like, how do you, when you're faced with a million choices that have to be made, what tactic have you found is best to help yourself get into, I've got to stop over analyzing this and I've got to start making some decisions.
Yeah. I feel like that's where my wing seven comes in.
Yeah.
I
So you
feel like
entertain your
it's one of those.
spiral for a little bit and then you just say, screw it.
Yeah, well, and I try to do logic. I mean, like lists are a thing, but again,
Hmm.
I can get paralysis from that in a sense,
Hmm.
like trying to make big decisions in life. I mean, I can make like a pros and cons list, and so many people talk about that, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
But I can also and when I do a pros and cons list, those cons are always going to be more than pros. Like
Yeah.
always. It will always, those cons will be triple what the pros are because I can always find the holes in the pros. And so
Yeah. Do you think it's
I
crucial to
have
have somebody to talk it out with?
it's huge for it. And someone that you feel grounded with, right? And
Mm,
I don't think just one person.
yeah.
I think that it has to be conversations with multiple people and multiple of those trusted people.
Yeah.
Um,
It took him 9 months to buy a
and then-
truck. He knew the truck that he wanted to buy, but it took him 9 months to decide which of the exact truck to buy, and that it was
yeah.
okay to buy it. That it was okay to spend the
Well,
money
and
and
I
buy
think
it.
some of that again is like you deciding, like, okay, guess what? I know all the things that could go wrong with this. So now I feel prepared to go into this choice
Mm,
because I know what could go wrong, but I also know how to handle all those wrong things, right?
yep.
So again, like buying a car, what happens if this tire blows or this warranty goes bad or this breaks or that breaks or, like we get in here, like he has all of those scenarios, those what ifs figured out. So then he felt like, okay, now I can do
Now
it.
y'all know why she's my end all be all doctor. I'm like, I'm gonna take this or do this or not do this. Am I gonna die? And she's like, well, this is what I would suggest. Okay. I usually ask for like two or three suggestions and then find the one in the middle. Um, it's so good. I know.
Everybody has different choices,
Yes,
and that's
I
perfect.
know. I do my best. I do my best to make you proud.
Which
How about you're triggered when others lack commitment, loyalty, and follow through?
is a big one, man. That's something I'm not good at. This is something that I'm working on.
Yeah.
Man, if someone tells me they're going to do something, I expect them to. Like I do, and I hold myself to that too, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm really hard on myself. If I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it, I get mad.
Well,
Like
they
I
also
get
say
really mad and disappointed in myself.
being lied to.
Um,
So being lied to kind of goes into this.
Uh, and that's just it. Like, I know that people don't, it's not even them trying to lie, but that's what it turns into for
Hmm.
me, right? And that can go from even like things with my kids. Like, I'll tell them that they can't get on a device until XYZ is done, and they'll do X and Y, but they forgot Z because it wasn't written down. And then I'm like, you guys lied. And they're like, we didn't lie, we forgot. And
Yeah.
it like wounds
But
me. Like,
you
I think that you're
feel,
honestly doing it to me, and that's
yeah.
not,
Do you feel that
you're
so
not.
deeply?
I do. I
Yeah.
do. And it's hard. I
You,
just,
yeah. Like it does also, like people following through on plans. Like I feel like I'm really bad. I have to be really, I have to work really hard to like not say to Adam I'm doing something that I might not be doing. Like if I'm going to come home, I can't say I'm coming home and not come home. I can't say I'm going to stay there and not stay there. Like what I say I'm going to do, I got to make sure I do it. So then it almost makes me so non-committal because God forbid that I say I'm doing it and then I don't.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, I think that I've thought of so many scenarios
Yeah.
by the time I would ask that of someone, or again, kind of go into like that type of relationship, not
Hmm.
even like as in like husband wife relationship or friendship relationship, but
Yeah.
like a relationship of me being like, hey, can you blah, blah, blah. Because I kind of hold that's my standard, right? Like that's my
Hmm.
baseline. So whatever you say you're going to do is my baseline.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that baseline, like that's almost like
It's just
hurtful
not
to
going to
me.
work
And
for you.
right. And
Yeah.
it's not, again, I'm not judging you for it. Like, I
No.
don't think anything wrong of you, but
Are you just, but I can say this as an eight. As an eight, if you can't handle this part of me, this isn't going to work. No, you're not bad. I'm not bad. It's not that. It's just like, this isn't going to work.
yeah.
Is it just a little bit that, like,
And
you
you know,
know what you
and like,
need?
yeah. And I actually just had a conversation about this with one of my students today. I was like, again, I do have high standards, but I
Mhm.
have high standards because I know you can do it.
Mm.
And it's not
Well,
because I am mean or rude
well,
or have, unattainable like
yeah,
expectations, but I do have high standards for you
mhm,
because you should have them for yourself too.
yeah,
If I think that, again, like with my kids or even again myself, like I can make a huge to-do list, but if I know I can't achieve it, I need to at least tick off like one, two, three, like the big ones
to
to
feel good,
feel okay with that.
accomplished.
And my kids too, like I'm not asking you guys to do anything crazy, but I know that you can do this. And it's
Yeah,
going to be hard, but like we're going to do this and we're going to get through it and you're going to be so proud of yourself when you're done. But I do, if you tell me you're going to do something, like
it's important. It's like, it's important to
I
everybody, but I think it's extra important to you. You guys take it a little
Mhm.
bit more personally. So one other activator trigger is others not taking your anxieties or concerns seriously, which I feel like as a big sister to a six who's 8 years younger than me, which that kind of a gap, it's like that's your like
Right.
firstborn that you have help half raise, would you get it? Your siblings way younger. I have to really work to not be impatient with him if he calls to talk to me, which is never less than an hour, to not try and blow through what he needs to his the anxieties he needs to talk through. So what is that like when they say you're activated by others not taking your anxieties or concerns seriously?
Um, again, this is something that Brian and I have worked on a lot. I feel like,
Hmm.
because again, there's a lot of downward spirals that I can get into,
Yeah.
and just been a lot of communication and,
Yeah.
um, honestly, like arguments that didn't need to be arguments. And I'm like, but you're just
Mm.
not even listening to me. Like, you're just blowing this off, thinking it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal to me. Like, I need to say this, and this could happen. And I don't need you to say everything is going to be fine because you're just not even listening. Like, you're not hearing me. And I get that you may not be worried about it, but like I am. And so
Your anxieties need to be entertained, correct?
I understand that my spiral may not need to be as big as it is, but I don't want you to dismiss me either.
I
Don't
feel that
dismiss
with my anger.
support.
Yeah, I feel that with my anger.
Mhm.
Like I understand
Right.
my anger is being, I understand it's over the top.
Right.
And you're like, this isn't that big of a deal. But to me in this moment, it actually is. And I need you to
Right.
sit with me in the anger. So you just need people to, like, I understand it's ridiculous. I understand I think the sky is falling and it's not. But at this
Right.
moment in time, the best thing that you can do to help me is to sit with me in the spiral, right? Do you feel that?
And yeah, for sure. Like
Mm.
I just need you to hold my hand, walk with
Hmm.
me through this. And
Hmm.
I understand like it is snowing with thunderstorms on my half and it is sunny over here, but like
Yeah.
hold my hand and like we'll get to that sunny, but like just hold me in this middle because
And don't try and reframe them. Like you got to sit with me for a
right.
second, right?
I need to be able to walk through this and see some of that sunshine to be able to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to figure out my path to get there.
Because it's one of the how to get along with me's is listen to me carefully while also having compassion and understanding of the constant flow of anxiety that is within me. Because it's like if I'm bringing an anxiety to you, it must be a big deal because I have anxiety nonstop and this is the one I'm choosing to bring to you. Is it kind of like that?
Right, absolutely. And
Mm.
I think that some of that goes into like my perspective with how I work with so many people and again
Hmm.
that grace that I give
Yeah.
because I I can't have the same expectations for everyone that I have because I've worked
Yeah.
through a lot of those anxieties and walked that path already. And I did have those anxieties when I was there, but I did get to the other side of it. So I am validating where you are.
Mhm.
I understand where you are, but I also want you to know, like, I've come out of it and you will come out of it, but let's talk about what our options are. And then you choose the best option for you, right? Like, here's A, B, C, D. Which one is best for you right now? Because all of them will get you to Z, but which one of those do we want, right? And so, again, I think some of that is that grace of being like, I've been there, I get it, and I hear
Mm-hmm.
your anxieties because I have those too, but also like which anxiety is the least? Like which one isn't as escalating?
I
Let's do that one.
think that you are that probably I guessing that I think you found so much grace for yourself because you were the person I didn't give grace to myself ever until I was sitting right here in this exact spot and I had some golden goose shoes sitting next to me and I was like, oh, I missed a goal, like I need to return these, and I was mad. I wasn't mad, I was actually just sad about it. I was like mad that I missed the
Mhm.
goal, but I was really, really just sad because it had been a rough season and I just wanted the shoes.
Yeah.
And you said to me, you know, you give so much grace to everybody else. This is probably the day you need to give it to yourself.
Yeah, I think that's again so important.
Yeah.
And something that again I feel like I've learned for myself is again, it's taken a lot of growth to get there. And I'm not saying there aren't anxieties, but
Yeah.
I really have had to learn to give myself grace
Mm-hmm.
because that three, like I said, when I get stressed, it can take over. But I have to
Mm,
realize like I can't do it all
yeah.
and I can't do it all and live in stress because they combust.
Yeah.
And if I push too hard in that three, like I can be a really high achiever, but guess what happens? I tap out,
Long
and
game,
then
not good.
yeah, like it's not good for me. It's not good for my family. It's not good for my friends. It's not good for, like that doesn't serve anyone well.
Yeah.
And so some of that goes to, again, that preparedness of like, okay, grace has to be what to fall back on and realizing that like it will be okay.
Yeah. It
Like it's
will.
going to be hard, but it will be okay. And so
Yeah.
grace, like,
So, yeah. In closing, these are the two things I love on our Enneagram series is one, what advice do you have for people who have a six in their life? And then two, what permission would you love to give your fellow sixes?
I think the permission would be let yourself feel it, let yourself sit in it, but don't let it paralyze you because
Mm.
there's always an outcome. And you're going to think of all the bad scenarios, but man, there is a really good one and
Mm-hmm.
there's a right one.
Yeah.
So sit in it, but don't let it paralyze you because there's so much beauty beyond that stress and anxiety.
And even if you choose the
And I
wrong one,
also
it'll be okay. In the end.
That's the biggest thing. I think with sixes, it's so important. Hindsight is 20, right? Like I think that's like if I could have a catchphrase, hindsight is 2020 for
Yeah.
sixes. Because if you look at the past anxieties that you had, like it turned out so beautiful in the end. It really did. And you may not have chosen that path, but gosh, like look how awesome it worked out. And I think for those people that have sixes in their life is just honestly like be that solid foundation. I think that's so important for sixes. No matter who they are, Enneagram wise, I think that everyone can give that support and say, like, okay, let's walk this out together, right? Like,
Mhm.
I hear you. I know they're stressed, but
Mhm.
let's talk about the other parts of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, where could these positive things come from? And realize that they are honestly just trying to help and prepare and make sure that the
Mhm.
bad doesn't happen with the good.
Mhm.
They aren't trying to be this everlasting pessimist thinks the world is falling all the time. They're honestly trying to make everybody end up on top.
Yeah.
And they just kind of holding that bottom part to let people climb up because they're the ones who are giving people the prongs to be able to climb up a
Yeah.
ladder, you know?
And
Like
being
we see all of the pieces, but what happens when that one is missing? I got another one that I can put in there because I've thought of all those scenarios.
yeah.
You know
That's
what
what
I
I
mean?
love. That's what I love about sixes in my life. I love that y'all are 10 steps ahead of all of us. Not in trying to create, because there's a difference between a one is trying to create this perfection, right? Not in that kind of way, but in
Right.
making sure that you and everybody around you is going to be okay. Like I
Yeah.
do feel like it is this fear-based thing, thinking of every absolute thing that could go wrong and making sure that they are planning ahead too to
Yeah.
prepare for that, to also just love the people that they love. And I will say that the biggest thing that I learned today I don't know if I quite understand. Okay, I didn't understand the magnitude at which y'all so easily feel targeted, blamed, or accused. Like I
Yeah,
did not.
absolutely.
I mean, I was like, bro, grow up. Seriously. What in the heck? I needed you to be like, you want me to bring a shovel? And instead you felt like I was attacking you. Like, chill. Oh my gosh. But now I'm like, oh, okay. I feel like I know a better way to. I just haven't said anything to him yet, which is kind of weird, but I know for myself it's best to not say anything until as an eight, I should keep
You're
my,
ready to.
yeah, I
Yes.
should keep my mouth shut until I figure out the appropriate thing.
Yeah, just buffer it.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to figure out the
And I
appropriate thing.
think too, again, just letting him know that like you get it.
Yeah.
You appreciate him and you know that it's
Yeah.
probably because he had thought of different scenarios of how to do it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. My gosh. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming back and doing this.
of
I know
course,
it's not your
for
most
having
fun thing in the world to do, so I
yeah. I mean, again, preparedness over here, like, but you're
I
great.
appreciate it. I
So,
appreciate you as a six. I appreciate you as a friend. I appreciate you as a doctor. I appreciate everything that you always do, thinking 8 million steps ahead of all of us to make sure that we all feel safe and that we don't die.
well,
Mean that
again, I mean, there are
literally,
so many
y'all.
things that I've done before, but whew, I am grateful that again, the Lord brought you into my life when He did because He knew what was coming.
You
And
just
so,
needed an example that your son was going to be okay. So you don't, when you're trying
no,
to doomsday about like, is he going to end up in prison running a gang? No, he's going to be okay.
yeah, he's gonna be great.
He's
He's
gonna
gonna be
be
great.
great. He's gonna be
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I know
Yes.
that every single six listening feels so much. They just feel like a really deep exhale, and everyone who has a six in their family is going, "Oh my gosh, there's another one," you know? We know that about my brother, and so we do talk about that language frequently, and we give him a lot of grace in his spiral because we know you. And so I would say like, "Okay, this is Brittany, like this is what we should do." And so thank you for blessing our audience today, but also just always blessing my family with that. All right, all things excellence fam. That was so fun. What fun we have had on our little Ennea Spring series. Next week we will be back here dropping with the Enneagram sevens, which is fun. That's the sandwich of Brittany and I. So you will learn where our spontaneity does come from in the midst of our deep, crazy drivenness to make everything awesome. So thank you again for listening, everybody. And until next time, stay excellent. Thanks for listening to All Things Excellence. If something landed with you today, I'd love for you to follow the show, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. It helps more women find these transformational conversations. And if you're ready for support with your next step, or needing someone to stand in the gap with you to figure out what that even is, I'd love to create that space for you. And my intro clarity call is a great place to start, because life is too quick and too full to have to figure it out alone. Until next time, All Things Excellence fam, thank you for listening.